Hello, everybody, and welcome to round 13 of Grand Prix Washington, D.C. I'm Brian David Marshall here with Pro Tour Hall of Famer Ben Stark, and we are watching another Pro Tour Hall of Famer, William Jensen, at 11-1-0, playing against Hemant Patel.
You know what I just realized? If William top 8's this GP, won't that be the record?
If he, yes, that would be 8. 7 is the record set by Owen Turnwald during his Player of the Year run.
Currently, Huey has it tied.
Yes.
Wow, and he's sitting here at X1 with a very good draft deck.
Yeah, you watch this deck, blue-black, obviously.
Blue-black, but not very controlling, very aggressive.
Oh, nice. Well,
Gnarled Scarhide.
Fleshmad Steed would betray that a little bit, yeah.
Right, along with Gnarled Scarhide and Spiteful Return.
Oh, wow.
He's got a bunch of bounce spells. He's got Double Feast of Dreams. Really a fantastic deck.
So played the cards he was dealt in the draft?
Yeah, and he did a really good job of realizing that it was going to be aggressive and not controlling pretty early. Because blue-black is probably controlling 80% of the time, maybe 90%. But in this draft, he just happened to keep seeing the aggressive cards and not the controlling cards.
Hemant Patel, black-green, we see a Herald of Torment on turn 3 after a Blood-Crazed Hoplite, but no attacks.
Yeah, he didn't want to trade the Hoplite for the Fleshmad Steed, I don't think, which makes sense. Hoplite has a little bit more potential.
It looks like he might be holding Hall of Triumph.
Yeah, that does look like that. And I mean, that's going to be a great card if all his creatures are black.
Shipwreck Singer.
Speaking of great cards, I raved about Shipwreck Singer a little bit during the draft, but I mean, that is just an amazing power card for blue-black. It looks somewhat innocuous because it's only 2 mana, it's only a 1/2, but that ability can completely take over a board, and to be able to get that for 2 mana is just, immensely powerful. People don't adjust for casting costs enough when they think about how powerful a card is. It's so cheap and does so much. So when they have to kill it, or it does everything it does, but you're not heavily invested in it because you only spent 2 mana, so you don't lose the game if they have the removal for it, like you do when they kill your 5 mana cards sometimes.
So there's Hall of Triumph.
And speaking of which, it was just completely neutralized by that Viper's Kiss. Yeah, that turns it into a 0/1 with no abilities, just a chump blocker.
Right. The awkwardness of hubris.
Oh right, yeah.
Billy just drew a hubris. He could bounce his Shipwreck Singer, but it would also return the aura.
Right, so that doesn't work. I'm guessing that Huey's gonna have to try and race that Herald of Torment, so he's probably gonna want to go beat down here. He can attack for 3 and then drop the Erebos Emissary, which, is a very threatening blocker. I don't know if he has any other options. Oh, he has Disciple of Phoenix. Okay, so this is a tough decision.
Right. He also...
do I take the last cards in my opponent's hand? This is a pretty tough decision.
He also has, the Fate Foretold here.
Yeah, but I wouldn't...
What do you think he's thinking about? Maybe he's going to put Fate Foretold on the Shipwreck Singer, be able to block the Herald of Torment.
That's fine, but I would do that later.
Yeah, that's what he came up with.
No, I think he's just doing it post-combat. I didn't mean post-combat by later. I meant, if this is turn 4, which I think it is, I would probably be more inclined to get that Erebos Emissary or Disciple going. Sure. And then, I can always play the Fate Foretold next turn or after I've done both those things and then chump with it and get the cards.
Right.
Obviously he's planning on using Hubris. That's why he did this.
Yeah.
But I don't know why he really wants to bounce anything this early. I don't really love this.
Draw a card.
I mean, it's not, bad. I'm sure I guess he's trying to save the Erebos Emissary for when he can bestow it, because it's better to bestow it than cast it. But it just feels to me like he could have, I don't know. I mean, I guess what he's going to do is Hubris the Herald of Torment end of turn and then Disciple of Phoenix it.
Right.
Because that's the only way this whole line makes sense. And I mean, that does make sense because you don't want to whiff on Disciple of Phoenix, and it's a 4/4 flyer that's beating you down. But I still think you could wait a turn. I think you could just put out the Erebos Emissary. But I don't know. I guess this gets the most value out of all the cards.
Right. Dreadbringer Lampheads comes down for Hemant. Not a big issue. The Intimidate is not very big in this matchup.
No. And I guess it's kind of a problem. I don't
look at this now. He's leaving Hemant with nothing.
Yeah, and I don't know whether he had the Lamphead or not. But if he would have Disciple of Phoenix last turn, he might have just completely whiffed. If he would have Erebos Emissaried, then he would have had to take considerably more damage. I mean, I guess just before he made this set of plays. So. I mean, I think Huey's play was better than what I would have done because I think this actually ensures that you hit off the Disciple of Phoenix, which is really important, and gets you the most value out of the Erebos Emissary.
Right.
So this is a really good line to take during this game.
And now he is at 6. Can bestow
Yeah, and he's definitely going to do that. He's just deciding which target.
Right. He gets the 6 toughness on the
Yeah.
Disciple.
Well, it's not going to be the Farika's chosen because that one's stopping the other
Yeah.
creatures. So I mean, you're going to put it on either the Flesh Mad Steed or the Disciple of Phoenix, whichever is going to make a better attacker.
And he does go with the Flesh Mad Steed. So sends in his 5/5 or
Yeah.
7/7.
Yeah, which puts Patel in an interesting spot because he's got the 5/3 land pads, but Huey might have, just some dinky creature to discard to it. So Patel doesn't know whether he should block it or take it there. I think.
He did just decide to take that.
Oh yeah, I think Patel might have drawn. I think it's like March of the Return or something. It's not played that often, so I'm not sure the exact name, but it
Right.
returns 2 dead creatures from your graveyard.
Yep. March of the Return.
Yeah, so that's a huge draw because if he wants to, he's going to be able to block or trade with the Flesh Mad Steed and then March return the Herald of Torment and whatever he blocks with. I guess he goes with just getting back the Herald of Torment now, planning to bestow it and really crash Huey there. I would have probably just waited to try and get a little more value, but
Oh boy.
yeah, what a game.
Oh boy. Those Feast of Dreams that people have just been passing around the table.
I don't
while
know
we're
why.
watching the draft.
Such a good card. I know that it has the potential to miss, but there are a lot of enchantment creatures and a lot of enchantments.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty big fan of Feast of Dreams.
Haymont's at 11. It looks like he's going to kill the Lampad and just attack with everybody here.
Yeah, it makes sense. He's going to be
But
far
he's
enough
gonna-
ahead that this is going to make Herald of Torment basically a bad card.
Isn't his Flesh Mad Steed?
Oh yeah, it is tapped, but I still think it's enough probably. I don't know if Huey missed that or not, but this 4 damage puts him to 12. Next turn he's got how much? 5, 6, 8, 9. Oh wow, no, this could actually be a major mistake here.
Yeah. He could have done that in
3,
combat.
5, 6. Well, he's still not going to die in 2 hits from the Herald, so it's not a mistake that is likely to cost him the game. But yeah, he could have done it after attacking with it, and yeah, that was a pretty bad mistake.
Uncharacteristic.
Yeah, uncharacteristic. I mean, everyone makes mistakes, I
Yeah.
didn't even see the best line earlier in this game with the hubris into the Disciple, which I like.
Right.
William Jetson may be the best player in the world right now, but he still made it, a
He
mistake.
may never have played with a Flesh Mad Steed before.
Yeah, he often plays control black decks, not beat down black decks, so it's very likely that he's not that used to having a Flesh Mad Steed out. I mean, like I said, everyone makes mistakes. I make mistakes, Huey makes mistakes, even Kai and Finkel made mistakes.
Harold. Oh,
He wasn't going to win the race.
right.
So, I mean, he couldn't really afford to attack with the Herald, which is how Huey played this game, feasting the other guy, because the Herald's going to start pinging Patel now, and Patel can't attack with it. And that was a nice rip for the
Scarhide
win.
can't block.
Yeah. Last week in Chicago, I played the mono black beatdown deck with Gnarled Scarhides. You'd be surprised how often, even in Type 2, you put that on your opponent's creatures.
And if you know Huey's probably pretty mad at
pretty-
himself right now.
Yeah,
he's
he's
like,
probably
I
not
won that,
happy.
but I got a little lucky.
He was still in a favorable position,
Right.
but obviously if he had the extra 5 damage, then Patel would have just been conceding, as opposed to leaving that guy back to block. So, yeah, like I said, everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah, no, of course. By the way, guys, Pro Tour 2015, Pro Tour Magic 2015 is coming up. It's going to be August 1st through 3rd, come Portland. You're going to be, 2 weeks from now heading to Vegas?
Yeah, we're going to start our play testing. Eric Froelich is usually kind enough to host most of Team Channel Fireball. He has a nice house out there, and we're always happy to play test in Vegas and stay at his, place. You got a beautiful house. You've got beautiful buffets on the Strip in Vegas. Good weather usually.
So, and you guys, so it's it's still a 2-week process for at least some of the team?
Yeah, for some of the team. I mean, a lot of our team have full-time jobs and let's say girlfriends and commitments outside of Magic, and then some of our team doesn't. So some of the guys go for 2 weeks, some of the guys go for 1 week.
It's like a minimum 1 week commitment
Minimum
you need
1
to make
week.
to be on the team?
Yeah, minimum 1 week. Like for the last Pro Tour, Paul Reitzel actually tested with us instead of with the Pantheon, even though he's with them for a long time, because he could make about a 1 week commitment, but not a 2 week commitment, because he does have a full-time job and girlfriend.
Right. Yeah.
This time, I think he left our test group, mostly because I think he's trying to work out a way to test with Matt Sperling, because they've been best friends since birth. But I think the group will start testing, about 2 weeks before the Pro Tour in Vegas.
Pretty sweet. So middle
As
of
per
July.
usual. Yeah, middle of July. I mean, I'll also, I'm only going for 1 week, but, we test on our own some before we go.
Sure.
I'll be at the pre-release, I'll be doing drafts in Florida, hopefully, for the week or two that, they're testing and I'm not there yet.
Right.
I'll be going over to my friend's house, hopefully, or to the local store and just doing, 8-mans with M15. I mean, you can practice without being there,
Yeah. You will go to a pre-release?
Oh, yeah.
How many members of the team? I mean, you have to go to the pre-release to get product too, right? Like to win.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that, we usually have a shortage of product, but it's more like, personally, I love pre-releases. Some of the first sanctioned tournaments I ever remember going to were like the Stronghold pre-release back in the day. And, the most exciting time, I think, for most Magic players is when the new sets come out.
Was your Stronghold pre-release insane? Like, was it like insane numbers?
Yeah.
I remember in New York, we had so many people, we had to like go to a second location.
Yeah, and it was like one giant tournament, play for top 8. It wasn't flights like they do nowadays or anything. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was like 1.5 times as many people as we were expecting, I remember. It was crazy.
Yeah, and I love seeing and playing with the new cards when it's most exciting. I often don't even look at the previews. I just go into the pre-release blind and then I, open and read the cards and I get all excited by the new cards.
Right. I mean, it's funny when we record the drafts and then talk about them. Sometimes we'll be talking about the draft before, and Ben will be like, "Don't tell me anything."
Yeah.
I want to be surprised by what he does.
Yeah, I don't like being biased. I like to be able to. This isn't the same concept of the pre-release, but I like to be surprised. I like to have to figure it out on the fly. You know what I mean?
Ben, no spoilers, Stark.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you give me enough time, I'm gonna come up with the right situation. But the reason Magic's great is because you don't have enough time. Like in this draft, William Jensen was faced with a pick between Disciple of Phoenix and Griptide that was extremely close.
Wow.
After having time to review it and think about it, I like the pick that he made, Disciple of Phoenix, because he has 3 bounce spells. And so rather than get a 4th bounce spell in Griptide, he can bounce something on a turn like we just saw with Hubris, and then
Right.
Disciple it away. But in general, Griptide is probably better in an aggressive deck than Disciple of Phoenix. So on the spot with 20 seconds, he went the full time on it, and I didn't even know. I couldn't even give an answer to which I wanted to take.
Right.
Now, having 20 minutes to think about it since then, I firmly like the Disciple pick. And it's like that with a lot of things. What makes Magic great is that not only do you have to see the best play, but you have to see it in 30 seconds.
Right.
You don't have time to grab a pen and paper, start writing down all the possibilities, doing some math, You just have to think about it and then come out with the best play.
The collective wisdom of the internet.
Right.
Yeah, I think we're going to probably show William Jensen's draft after this round. We're going to get to see.
Oh, it was a great draft. Everybody should watch who wants to improve their drafting, because Blue-Black Control is one of the premier archetypes in this format, and Blue-Black Aggression is very rarely drafted. And it was absolutely correct for Yui to draft Blue-Black Aggression. And he found it pick by pick, without giving up too much value. Like, if he would have ended up going Control, he had to kind of walk in between for a couple of picks and then commit at the right times. He didn't let a Spiteful Return go by, which is a really good card in an aggressive deck. I think he did just an excellent job, just an A+ job in this draft.
The Venn diagram between the aggro deck and the control deck in Blue-Black has a fair amount of overlap, right? So you are able to straddle, but then there's those key picks that you need to make.
Exactly. There's a lot of overlap, like Feast of Dreams, which is just going to be good neither. But then there's the picks like Gnarled Scarhide and Spiteful Return that are, first pickable cards in the aggro deck and virtually unplayable in the control deck.
Right.
And vice versa. There's plenty of cards that are, virtually first pickable in control and unplayable in aggro.
Sip of Hemlock.
Sip of Hemlock, Precinct Chimera. Sip is playable in aggro, but it's better in control. But no, it's more like Divination.
Sure.
Precinct Chimera isn't very good if you're going to be a focused beatdown deck. It's just a 5-drop. It's a mediocre 5-drop. It's more the card drawing and things of that nature, like Divination and Font of the Fortunes. Also, just things with toughness. I'll play a Rotted Hulk in a beatdown deck every day. He was faced with a Crow and Horse pick. That was really a deciding point in this draft.
I walked by and I saw that.
A Crow and Horse is excellent if you're a blue-black control deck. If you're trying to play removal and flyers, that's a great card for your deck. If you're trying to beat down on the ground, that's an unplayable card in your deck. Right. So, he really did a good job navigating correctly and finding the best deck possible for him in the seat.
So William Jensen's played a pair. Farik has chosen around a Blood Crazed Hoplite. Heyman Patel's digging with a Nylea's presence.
Super Sunday Series sealed. Pairings for round 5 are being posted. Please go find your seats for round 5 of the Super Sunday Series.
Do you ever think about how you're sequencing something like that? You're going to play like a cantrip enchantment and a Scryland. Would
Well,
you?
you normally draw your card first because you want to have as much information as possible when you're scrying.
Right.
Like, for example, he may have one more land or no more lands in hand, and he wants to draw a card because if it's a land, then he'll scry lands to the bottom. If he draws a spell, then he might need land 4 or 5, so he might keep it. Normally, you give yourself as much information as you can before scrying.
Right. Ravenous Lacroix Dakota.
Say that again?
No. Disciple of FedEx comes down. Sees 3 cards in hand.
I would be surprised if he didn't take Keepsake Gorgon unless he has an answer to it in his hand. Keepsake Gorgon is one of the best uncommons in
Yeah.
Theros, an incredibly powerful card. He could not take it if he has bounce spells and removal in hand or something like that. But otherwise, I mean, that's, you know, just an individually extremely powerful card.
Right. And it's interesting because he puts Haymont in a position of having to bestow onto his green creature.
Yeah, and we know William's not that scared of that. Besides the double Feast of Dreams he has in his deck, which I don't know if they're in his hand or not, he already has a Pharika's Chosen in play, which could just
Right.
block. The Ravenous Lucrocata?
Yes.
Lucrocata?
Lucrocota.
Lucrocota. That's a heck of a name. I would just personally like to thank whoever picked that name out.
There's
Thank you
actually
for
a
thinking
whole
of us.
division of people that just name cards for you.
Yeah. Whoever made that decision, thank you for thinking of us.
There's a Shipwreck Singer. So he can actually like force something to run into
The Chosen.
his chosen.
And he
here.
could pick off the Tormented Hero just with the Singer's ability.
Yeah.
Assuming it lives. Patel still has a card or 2 in hand.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's going to try that. Shipwreck Singer, I mean, that's what it does.
Attention Magic players. Anyone interested in signing
I mean, I don't know how badly he wants to trade the Pharika's Chosen for the Lucrocata. Obviously, once it's able to go monstrous, he would. Right now, if it's just bouncing with the Disciple of Phoenix, so he might want the Pharika's Chosen for something better. It really just depends on what goes on here. Like, we know Patel has the Wolf, and Huey knows it because he saw it when he discipled him.
So Wolf goes on the Tormented Hero.
So it looks like what's going to happen for Huey could be the Chosen. Oh, wait, I think I saw a Feast of Dreams in his hand.
Oh, yeah, he's been holding that since his opening. Seven.
So he's got a choice here because he could trade the Chosen for that hero and then finish the Wolf off with the Singer, or he could Feast of Dreams. Well, that was an interesting play. I mean, I didn't think he needed to do that there. I don't hate the play. You could just wait a turn or two
Right.
because it was just bouncing right now.
Looks like he just drew a Voyage's End.
I mean, don't get me wrong. That was probably going to end up happening because Patel is not far from going monstrous. But with Huey at 19
You
life,
almost want him to like sink all that mana into the creature.
exactly. Like with William at 19 life, with Huey at 19 life, I just don't think. I think I would have just blocked with the Disciple of Phoenix there. I don't see any reason to make that trade yet.
So he says, "Yep, we're gonna make that guy attack."
One attacks the creature.
Yeah, and he has some interesting options. Like he can trade Disciple of Phoenix for it by using Shipwreck Singer's ability, or he could minus it. I mean, or he could feast it
One card.
so that he can then just take out the Nyxborn Wolf that remains with
Right.
Shipwreck Singer's ability. Neither of those are going to happen because it just got Sunstormed. William Jensen's creatures just got Sunstormed. And I imagine that'll be good enough to provoke like the feast from William
Sure.
after he attacks. Maybe not. I'm not sure. It saves 5 damage this turn and 2 damage next turn. So it seems likely that he'll want to do that. These are close decisions, you know, where you
Right.
kind of got to know your whole deck and your opponent's deck. I mean, William could Voyage's End also, taking those apart, but I don't like that because he can't Singer next turn, so they would just get put back together.
Right.
I do like the Feast play because he saves a lot of damage. He can take 3 this turn, and then after that, he can Shipwreck Singer away the Nyxborn
Right.
Wolf.
Right.
So I mean, I think the standard play there would be to Feast like he did. You could probably find reasons not to if you really wanted to.
Yep.
It's also conceivable that he could have, assuming no Sunstorm feasted before combat and then forced the Nyxborn Wolf to attack and
You're
minus
talking
it.
no sudden storm.
No sudden storm.
Right, we were debating whether he was going to do that or not, but then the sudden storm just
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
solidified everything. I guess he didn't sudden storm until after he attacked, so I guess William decided not to do that.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because he could have blocked with Disciple and then Singer to kill it.
Well, I'm saying he could have also just killed it, had the Nyxborn Wolf come into play. It doesn't have summoning sickness, and made the Nyxborn Wolf attack,
Right.
and then just minus
Right,
it.
I hear what you're saying,
Yeah,
but I think he was choosing to
It
trade.
didn't really matter in the
Well, it's
end.
not that. I think he was choosing to trade Disciple of Phoenix rather than Feast of
Yeah,
Famine.
yeah.
Because he knows that
yeah.
Patel has a Herald of Torment plus the March to get back all these enchantment creatures.
Right.
So I think Huey decided that that was more valuable,
Right.
which I think I agree with.
Here comes the Snake of the Golden Grove.
Well, if Patel doesn't have anything, that snake's just going to get eaten because we see Huey's holding Nyxborn Eidolon. So if he puts that on the Disciple and then he forces the snake to attack and minus ones it, that Disciple is not even going to die. It's not even
Right.
that a snake isn't even going to trade with Disciple. It's just going to get eaten.
Right.
Now,
and,
I mean,
and if he does draw something to put on it, well, Billy just drew another Feast of Dreams.
yeah, and he already had Voyage's End.
Yeah, and he had Voyage's End, right.
So now you're really seeing the power of Shipwreck Singer, like we talked about.
Yeah.
A 2-mana card taking over this game. He's 1 land short of making that happen this turn, but he just won't force it to attack. And if Patel attacks, he can minus it. If Patel doesn't attack, next turn he'll have the mana to eat it.
Here's the Herald of Torment.
Well, we know this isn't going to work out especially well for Patel.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. Billy's hand is just gas, hubris, and Voyage's End.
Yeah. And those aren't removal spells, they're bounce. They're timely, very useful, but at the moment, I don't think they're going to do too much. I mean, they protect William's creatures, which is pretty important.
Right.
Would Rishi Agrawal please report to the side event
So this is going to be a
stage?
spiteful blow.
And here we go. William's certainly going to save that. He's just going to decide which one to use on it. Voyage's End letting him scry. Hubris being...
One's like this.
Yeah, Hubris is a little bit worse than Voyage's End maybe in some situations, so he's got a tough debate whether to use the Hubris, but
Like
it's
if
a
he
little
was
worse with the
targeting the
Voyage's End
Disciple,
because
he
he
would
gets to scry.
hubris, right?
Yeah, if he wanted the Eidolon back in his hand, which he probably would. It's not like it would go to the graveyard since it just comes into play. But yeah, he would probably Hubris there. Voyage's End lets him scry, though, so that increases his draw, right now. This was a close decision, for sure.
Pushes the card pretty quickly, probably a land.
Yeah.
I'm at 13, you're at 17.
Yep, go ahead.
Throws another land, but gets in for 3, so a little bit of a race here. Haymont's ahead.
Yeah. And this feels like a game that Huey should have been way ahead in, but, he's drawn 9 lands, and Patel, it looks like, only has 6 or so. So it's a close game. Well, he's got, I think, 2 in hand now, so it's pretty close overall.
10 to 13.
William up a card or 2.
Go ahead.
By the way, if you're hearing me go back and forth for somehow someone doesn't know, William Jensen's nickname is Huey, so,
Yeah.
I try and call him William because that's his real name, but I've called him Huey for 15 years, so I'm kind of used to that.
Brett Meeky to the judge station at the side event stage.
Paul, the swath of people that just call him Billy.
Billy.
Yeah. There's the spiteful return. So we're racing.
Yeah, and this isn't a close race.
So 1, 2, 3, 4.
The Herald of Torment is dealing
Your turn.
3 damage to Huey and 1
one
damage
back to
to Patel, and Patel's losing the race by a lot. And Huey has a bounce spell in hand. So not really the closest race.
I like this guy attack.
He's like, no, that has to attack.
Yeah.
And there's the handshake. Billy Jensen,
And a lot of cards were good.
12, 1, and 0.
Yeah,
would've been
and a lot of
nice.
cards were good, but did you really see the power of the Shipwreck Singer there?
Would've been nice.
Yeah. Shipwreck Singer is one of my favorite cards in this
Either
draft
that
format.
or-
It